Hello and welcome to the Cup of Triathlon podcast. We're brought to you every week by our sponsors, cheercharge.co.uk, home of great tasting flapjack cheer bars. You can use the code COT10 for 10% off. Precisionhydration.com, who are the leaders in triathlete sweat testing and sports hydration, with multi-strength electrolytes that match how you sweat. You can get 15% off products with the code CUPOFTRI15. And oxygenaddict.com triathlon coaching. I've just had 2 slots open up for personalised one-to-one coaching, so if anyone's interested, get in touch. And I am joined by the wonderful Helen Murray. I believe we might have Miss Helen Murray in Rio. Is this correct?
This is correct.
Helen Murray, how are you?
I'm all right. How are you?
This is great. I'm loving it. You're in Rio. I'm here. We get to chat. How's things?
Yay! Yeah, all fine, all fine. Yeah, I'm in the Baco Foil Factory, which is also known as the International Broadcast Centre, and I'm
Very
just
cool.
walking outside to into the oven.
Wow.
So you go from a freezer, which is very, very air conditioned, and like you're wearing fleeces, and then today I think the temperature's around about 35, maybe. It's like an oven, and I'm about to step out into it. Yeah, scorchio.
Scorchy. Oh, did you get to see any of the well, I know you did get to see some of the paratriathlon live and in the flesh, didn't you?
I did, yeah. I was actually working on it, so I was making sure that people could listen to triathlon coverage in the UK. So yeah, it was really cool. So we were pretty much on the finish line, and then making sure that we covered it. So we were at the beach for the swim exit, and then we'd go to the finish line, and it was quite difficult to cover it because there were no. Well, you might have, if you tried to tune in on TV, there were no cameras.
That's right, yeah.
So it was a bit difficult. We just had a big screen at the start-finish line with a few timing splits, and that was it.
Got you. And were you able to sort of embrace the excitement of British medaling going on?
Oh, totally. Yeah, definitely. You were able to embrace that. It was awesome.
Really cool. So who did we have that won medals then? I'm trying to play catch up with the para-tri results at the minute.
Okay.
We had
in the men's
I'm just going through as we speak.
For GB, Andy Lewis got gold. So Blade
He got gold in the PT2 class, didn't he?
PT2, yeah. And then on the women's side for GB, we got silver in the PT5, which is for blind and visually impaired. So Alison Patrick and her guide Hazel Smith. And then Melissa Reed and Nicole Walters got bronze. And then in the PT4, Lauren Steadman for GB got a silver.
Fantastic. Great stuff. And has it just been a super atmosphere out there? Because it looks, certainly from the Paralympic coverage we've seen over here, it looks like the stadiums are more rammed than they were for the actual Olympics.
Yeah, it's crazy. When you drive past the Olympic Park, I just couldn't believe the amount of people pouring out. It was really, really good. And there were definitely, I think they said 10,000 more people at the Olympic Park over the weekend just gone compared to, one of the middle weekends during the Olympics, which is so good. And I think that is because they did so much work to, I was saying last week, they were like 12% of tickets had been sold at one point, and then they upped their game totally and they reduced prices, and then a lot of fundraising was going on, wasn't it, to get some local children in, that kind of thing. But at the para-triathlon, the crowds were really, really impressive, and George Peasgood, who's one of the Paralympics GB athletes, was saying that it's the best crowd that he's ever raced in front of. British
that's
Triathlon,
brilliant.
We're absolutely chuffed with the support, and you just hope that in Tokyo 2020 there's the TV coverage to go with it.
Yeah, totally. Oh, that's really cool. I was very excited seeing photographs of you actually on the beach, actually next to athletes interviewing people. That was brill.
It was insane. So in the walking over there yesterday, I bumped into Bob Babbitt.
Yes, I saw that. Did you have a good chat with him?
I had a nice chat with Bob, so that was good.
He's my hero, man. Get him on the
show.
Is
he? Oh,
he's the inspiration for starting it. His old I can't remember what he used to call it now.
Babbittville?
competitor radio
Competitor
back in the day.
radio.
This is back in the early 2000s. Yeah, him and Paul Huddle used to do it. It was brilliant.
Yeah, I have been in touch with him before, so I'm sure I can sort out a little
Love
interview
it.
on the Cup of
Having
Try
him on.
podcast.
Having
I
him
saw
on.
Bob, and then at the same time, like Sarah Springman, the ITU president, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, was just
No,
walking
Sarah,
past.
yep.
Yeah, just like, hello, yes, hello. And then, and then I don't know, at the end, I just saw, we had a quick chat with Brendan Purcell, the performance director. Yeah, it was great, and it was interesting hearing Lauren Steadman in her post-race interview. She basically took a wrong turning on the swim, which cost her the gold medal, really, because she then had to go back. She had to go back to go around the buoy, which meant that the edge that she would normally get, because she's a former Paralympic swimmer, her and Grace Norman from the USA pretty much came out the water, not too far apart. But actually, Lauren would have needed that swim buffer to get ahead of Grace Norman. And then, in the women's PT5, which is the one that Alison Patrick and Hazel Smith and then Melissa Reid and Nicole Walters got silver and bronze. So the gold went to Katie Kelly of Australia, who is guided by Michele Jones, who won silver at Sydney 2000 in triathlon.
Yeah. And as guides go, it doesn't get much better than Michele Jones, does it? She won Kona as well.
Yeah, so it was really cool watching them come down the finish chute, because they seemed quite chilled out ahead of it. You could see them when they were being introduced to the crowd. They were practically dancing to the music and just really waving to everyone and very, very chilled out. And then you saw them, coming down the chute. They were both just waving, and just the smiles were huge. And then Bob Babbitt was saying actually that Michele Jones has really helped bring Katie Kelly on, because at the level that Michele got
of course, because she would do.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's like racing with, I don't know, Dave Scott, isn't it? Basically.
Yeah, totally. And so apparently in one race they did, I think Michele was like, right, we're going to really have to hurt now in the on the run. And they got to the finish line, and Katie said, okay, I now know what it means to hurt. So it's interesting, though, that they've had to almost go down that path of recruiting, amazing guides in order to beat,
good as it gets guides,
in order to beat the British, because Alison Patrick had pretty much been unstoppable. So it's interesting. Yeah. It's really, really interesting. And you wonder, will British triathlon now, go down a similar route as well?
Will they do the same? Yeah. Will they go and hunt out Richard Stannard or somebody? And
it's so at the moment in the Paralympics, it's only the PT5 is only for the women. So the men, yeah. But you don't know. I don't know if they'll change the categories at all, because PT1, which the men only race in, that's the one that Joe Townsend and Phil Hogg. The women don't have that category at the Paralympics.
Right. Well, hopefully they'll change that for the next lot, because it's important that they're all in, isn't it?
Yeah, totally. And just getting the impression.
Chrissy Wellington must be looking for something to do. There you go. There's a comeback route for her.
Well, you never know. You never know.
We shall see. Right, well, listen, I know you're really tight for time, so let's have a little chat about what else has gone on this weekend, shall we?
Yeah, let's do that.
So let's go to China, because we had a bit of action in China. We had Ali Brownlee and Holly Lawrence take out the wins at was it called the Beijing International Triathlon? Am I right in that? I think I am.
That's right, yep.
So, interesting to see Ali Brownlee racing non-drafting there, and said he got kind of dealt to on the bike a little bit, but obviously handled it really well, didn't he? I Can totally. Die, yeah.
And previously, Rob, Javier Gomez has won that race.
Yeah.
So
yeah. So that's a good result, and expected for him, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
I think the surprise is Holly Lawrence coming over, and obviously she's got tremendous form at the minute. But what a result for her, winning non-drafting Olympic there.
Yeah, awesome, isn't it? And apparently she had a bit of a moment with a dog beforehand.
Yeah, it's during the race. She hit a dog during the race. She came off on the bike, hitting a dog on the bike course, and still won it.
Fantastic.
And then there was like a set of steps with 500 steps to go up and down in the run course. So it doesn't sound like my idea of a fun time, but good to see him doing that, hey? Yeah.
Oh, no way.
Crazy.
No way. But that's great for Ali Brownlee and Holly Lawrence to come away with the wins there.
Sure is. And then let's jump over to Ironman and 70.3 Weymouth, which happened down in the south coast of the UK this weekend. That was a nice big race going on there. There was no pro race for the Ironman distance, but there was for the 70.3. So let's start with the 70.3 race, because we've got another pair of Brits in form here, taken out by Harry Wiltshire for the men and Emma Pallant for the women.
Yeah, great. This is Emma's first time, isn't it? Breaking the tape, isn't it? In an Ironman. I think so, at a 70.3.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's great.
So she managed to sneak that with a 4:40 win over Natalie Seymour and Hannah Druitt in third.
Yep.
Susie Richards in fourth there.
Nice work, Susie. Nice work.
Nice work, Susie. Good to see her. And then Harry Wiltshire took it out in 4:10. Apparently there was a real battle on the run. Harry Wiltshire and Mark Threlfall came off the bike together, and just from the guys I know that race said, they just went at each other from the start of the run, shoulder to shoulder. Harry ended up breaking away at about 11k, and then Mark Threlfall got caught by Stu Hayes, who finished second, and a French dude called Ivan Yarige. And he ended up holding on for fourth, which was a great result for him. But really sort of honest racing, laid it all down. They were shoulder to shoulder on the bike, shoulder to shoulder on the run, and it was a really great race by all accounts.
That's cool. And conditions from a few photos I saw looked really cool.
Yeah, it did. It looked sunny. It wasn't warm, I don't think, from what people said. It was a bit chilly on race morning, but it looks like it was a nice day in the end for them.
I love it. Love it.
Yeah, good. And as we had an amateurs Ironman distance race, so the winner there was Michal Podjaski from Poland and Sarah Leakey from Great Britain, both from the 30 to 34 age category. So, top racing down in Weymouth.
Are you tempted, Rob? Weymouth?
To race in Weymouth?
Yeah.
No, I'm not, to be honest.
No, I
raced down there a few times on the course that used to be... It's largely the same course that used to be the original Ironman UK course in Sherborne.
Okay.
The main part of the loop of it is, so I've done that a fair few times, and time to stretch my horizons in another direction. Are you tempted?
No.
Well, maybe you should be, because the women's win went in... What did it say there? I just saw it. 10 hours 15. So, without any pros there, Hulls, who knows? You could be on the overall podium there next year. One to think about.
It's not happening. Not happening. I'm not having the arm twisted yet into another Ironman for next year.
Yeah, well, fair enough.
Not yet.
I'll not do that to you.
No.
Maybe if enough listeners vote for you, then you have to do it.
Don't even go anywhere near a vote Helen button.
That's the end of the season. Leave her alone. It's all good.
Let's not. God, I barely do it, Rob. Out here, I'm by the sea this time, so I'm managing a little run by the sea most mornings. Again, the bike is a bit of a no starter.
Yeah.
And I haven't yet ventured into the sea because there's a lot of surfing going on. So I'm a little bit scared that if something were to happen on my own, I would not be fished out. So I don't know if it's the most sensible option.
Back a little bit there, haven't you?
Yeah. Rob, Ironman Wales is next week. Oh, we haven't done Vitruvian, have we?
Let's jump to the Vitruvian really quick, and then we'll have a chat about Ironman Wales. Yeah, so Vitruvian, great sort of non-branded 70.3 race in the UK, and it's getting faster and faster every year. It was taken out this year by William Cohen from Jackpot Racing, 3:54, a 24-minute swim, 2:07 on the bike and 1:20 run, so super solid performance. Gary Laybourne in second and Ashley Herdman in third. And notable performance from our old pal Matt Botterill, breaking the bike course record with a 1:59. Superb. So 8 minutes faster than anyone else. But then, do you know what? That running's improving. 1:28 on the run, so he really held it together well there for, what would that be, 9th place overall.
Brilliant.
In 4:06, which, if you're first 70.3, that's a pretty solid performance, isn't it? 4:06.
I think quite a lot of people would take that. Yep.
I think they would. The bike course record and the 4:06.
Yeah. Great stuff.
Over on
Wow.
the ladies' side, we had Catherine Jameson take out the win in 4:23, so pretty toasty.
Yeah, awesome.
Becky Hoare in second and Zoe Smith in third.
Brill.
There we go. As you said, coming up this week, it's Ironman Wales. That's the other, like the second biggest race in the UK, isn't it, really, after Ironman UK?
Yeah, I think so. You were there last year. Can you believe it's a year ago?
Time has flown by, I tell you. I couldn't find a start list for this to see who was racing.
Oh,
but...
I had a look, right? I quite like this one. Okay, so I had a look at Torsten's Try Rating, so tryrating.com. Now, these are people on the start list, Rob. As ever, this means that they might not turn up, but Torsten put Alberto Casali from Italy as like the favourite, but Nick Baldwin, who we've had on the show, he's on the start list. Richie Nichols, Fraser Cartmel, who was doing the O2O, wasn't he? He raced, the O2O race. Yeah. And then this one, Phil Graves on the start list.
Is he really?
Yeah.
Right, we're going to have a sniff around that on Twitter and see if we can have a conversation with him.
Yep.
That's great, because he's been run injured for a while from what I heard.
Yep.
So he's in super duper bike and swim shape as always, so if he can hold it together for the run, that'd be brilliant, wouldn't it?
Yep, so he's on that start list. And it'll be interesting because obviously he had spent, last season, I guess, trying to focus on the shorter distances.
Yeah. With
the possibility of being the pilot for the Brownlees, but I don't think he quite got. Well, did he get injured or didn't quite get enough points?
He couldn't get the points to be, to qualify to actually go, even if they wanted to pick him, which was the thing because of his run injury.
That was it. Yeah. And then Nikki Bartlett, our first ever interviewee, is going to be making her Ironman debut, fresh from the 70.3 World Championships. She is going to be racing Wales.
Oh, I hope she wins and then we can interview her again. That'd be a nice kind of... We should interview her for the 100th show, shouldn't we?
I think we should. Yeah, we definitely should. Whatever happens.
Nikki, if you're listening, we've got you lined up. You've got about 8 weeks, mate.
Yeah. And then also, others on the start list, Rob, for the women, Kate Comber, who we remember from Ironman UK, Jean Collange of France, and Diana Riesler as well.
Oh, it's a bike course to suit Jean Collange, isn't it?
Yeah.
She's really strong in the rolling hills, so that's awesome.
Yeah, a few good names to watch out for in beautiful Tenby.
Yeah, tune in next week for results from Ironman Wales. That'd be pretty cool.
Love it.
Pretty cool indeed. So listen, do you want to introduce our interviews of the week this week? Because you've done both of them. We're going to line up both Matt Pritchard and Catherine Faux in a double header to make up the fact we haven't got very long to talk to each other.
Okay, fantastic. Right, well, I guess first up then is going to be Catherine Faux, who I was really happy to get hold of, Rob. Superb age group triathlete who has just gone pro because she's been pretty busy over the past few years doing her medicine. So as you'll hear about that, she's really happy to be back in triathlon. And I don't know, she did amazingly at Kona a couple of seasons ago. She did incredibly at Roth as well, like right up there in and amongst the pro women. So it was a good chat with Catherine Faux. And then following that, we will have a chat with Mathew Pritchard, who is doing a whole load of challenges to raise money for various charities. But you might, Rob, are you aware of Dirty Sanchez?
I'm vaguely aware. I'm a little bit long in the tooth to actually have watched it, but I'm aware of it. Yeah, I know people are going to be laughing. I'm aware of the gist of it.
Okay,
he's a bit of a stuntman type dude, isn't he?
So he was part of that. He used to be a pro skateboarder. He, I think, had a lot of time partying, as he says in the interview. But now, he does hard training, and he's quite tempted by double-decker Dave's feat. Not maybe yet of doing a double-decker, but
right?
Definitely inspired by Decker Dave.
Oh, it isn't, hey? Right, well, let's hand us over to this week's interviews of the week then. We'll start with Catherine Faux.
Catherine Faux, hello, and welcome to the Cup of Triathlon podcast.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here.
It's almost like you disappeared from the world for 2 years, so it's great to have you back.
I kind of felt like that too. It was a bit of a grey time.
So, Kathy, take us back. How did you first get into triathlon?
Ooh, okay. So, as all good things start with a conversation in a pub with a friend. It was at uni with a friend, and we just both kind of said, "Oh, yeah, I'd like to do that sometime." And I live quite close to Rutland Water, which is where Pacesetter do Dam Buster and Vitruvian, and I'd seen them happening at some point, and I thought maybe one day I might be able to do that. So that was an Olympic distance. So I thought I'd start off with a sprint, and I did. I think it was Mansfield, and then I met Sheffield Tri Club because I was studying at Sheffield at the time. And then by some random occurrence, I managed to win an essay competition at university. So spent that very sensibly on a bicycle rather than student essentials. And I guess the rest is history. I think the reason I got so quickly into longer distance triathlon is because, as I was a doctor, everyone tells you that basically fun finishes when you graduate and you never have time to do anything good in the future. So I thought I better crack on and do some long distance stuff before my life ended. And yeah, just discovered I liked it. And then you kind of make space for things you like. So the rest is history, I guess.
So did you do swimming and running when you were younger?
Yeah, but not to any special, I wasn't very good at them. I wasn't very good at them. I did a couple of years of swimming club when I was sort of 13, 14. But because I'd started so much later than most kids, I was sort of a couple of years behind everybody else. So I was a bit of a loner. I was just swimming alongside kids who are much younger than me. But I think it definitely taught me decent technique, which is harder to learn when you're older. And then running at school, I did cross country, but that was mainly just because I had a bit too much energy and I needed sort of to run around a bit. And again, I didn't do that amazingly. I had a friend who I looked very, very similar to, and she used to win. So people used to congratulate me after races, and I just pretend that I was her. But again, didn't do that much of that. And in terms of cycling, I just had normal kid bikes and used to poodle around Rutland Water and was always asking my parents if we could go on a bike ride. So we used to go around there, but not proper cycling. I think I didn't have gears on my bike, but that was because it was such a bike that you didn't have gears, not because it was cool. Probably had stabilizers as well.
And spokies.
Yeah. Oh no, I never had those, but I was always really jealous of them. Are they those little clickety clackety beads that go on your spokes?
Yes.
They're so cool. They should just reintroduce them. And I'm sure it's got to probably increase the rotational sort of speed of your wheel because of I don't know. I'm just going to throw that out there. Someone should do some research. Get Team Sky on it.
Yeah, marginal gains.
Yeah,
marginal
definitely.
gains. So you didn't actually do, you had done a little bit of running and a little bit of swimming, but nothing sort of competitive, like not running for your county or England schools or anything like that.
No, only when I was mistaken for my friend.
So how did you get into so you did it then for fun with a friend at uni. Did you train for your first few races?
I still do it for fun. It's always fun. I don't like this distinction between doing it for fun and then apparently fun stops when you start being serious. I'm still having fun. But anyway, I know what you mean. So my first race, I had no idea what I was doing whatsoever. I remember being really, really pleased with myself because my transition was really fast because obviously I cycled in my trainers and then I ran in my trainers. And also I didn't have a tri-kit, so I just had sort of a freebie t-shirt that I threw on top of my swimming costume. But no, didn't really particularly train. I guess I was doing a bit of running just to sort of keep fit and stuff like that, but that was it really. But I wouldn't have known what to do to train. I mean, I didn't know anyone in triathlon, so I just thought, well, I better do some running and some swimming and pedal my bike a bit.
Wow. So was it Sheffield Triathlon Club then that really kind of took you from, not much to then actually helping you develop?
Yeah, but less so the sort of club in itself, because when I was a student, it's really difficult to get around a city if you don't have a car and get to different training sessions and things like that. So even though it's a brilliant club and it caters really well for sort of all abilities and beginners and things like that, at the time it was more just particular people within the club. I've got one friend, Dave Campbell, and once I started showing a bit of promise, he'd really go so far out of his way to like pick me up and deliver me to sort of long rides that they were doing, and really encourage me. And it made it a lot more accessible, because for a young girl going out and cycling with guys, it seems like quite intimidating. And I didn't know anything about like the rules of cycling and all the things you don't do, and they would just be so sort of patient and wouldn't mind when I just made every single mistake 5 times over. So it was people like that. It's more sort of individuals who've really helped me along the way, and I'm really grateful to.
So was that sort of 2010, 2011 then that you...
So I think my first race was in the summer of 2009. So that was like my first ever sprint. Yeah. And I think I did like a sprint and an Olympic that summer. And then actually I spent a year in Leeds doing a different degree. It was like an intercalated degree in international health, so like developing country healthcare. And at the end of that year, the spring and the summer, managed to somehow get my way into training with the Leeds Met, like the sort of triathlon squad there. So that was Brownlees and co. Although I say train with them, we just kind of happened to be on the track at the same time and happened to be in the pool at the same time, because they were just a completely different level. And I was so bad that, they were all at Leeds Met, and so I was kind of the odd one out. And I remember a specific conversation when someone didn't really feel like going to track, and someone said, like within my hearing and not even joking, "Oh, don't worry, Kat's going, you won't be the slowest," because I was always the slowest. And they were all sort of training for Olympic distance and stuff, and I decided to do my first marathon, but I'd never shown anything remotely promising at that point, so I was just I was the slow, ploddy one. But hey.
Wow. So when did you go from being the slow, ploddy one to definitely not the slow, ploddy one?
Well, I'm still a slow, ploddy one. I just found a distance that suits my slow plodding. So that summer I did a marathon, and I was quite, I sort of surprised myself. Like I didn't get anything exceptional, but I did Edinburgh Marathon. And then I did Antwerp 70.3, because that was something that Sheffield Tri Club were all doing together, and it was so much fun. And it's funny because like it was only when I realised that like I don't really sort of particularly get tired, and I carry on going, and I sort of look around me and wonder why other people are sort of slowing down. So I don't feel that I have ever got really any faster. I've just I found the distance that suits me.
So you can just keep going essentially.
Yeah, pretty much.
I love it. So Outlaw, in 2011, was that your first sort of long distance triathlon?
Yeah, it was. I've got such happy memories of that day, because I was just rocking up trying to finish, really. Although the friend who I just mentioned, who'd take me to bike rides and was really, really encouraging in like my sort of early years, he just, so angry at him, because he just had such a big mouth, and he's going around telling everyone that I was going to do some like win, and I was like, Dave, shut up, stop telling people this. And I was just going out there to finish, and so I was pretty happy when I finished, and happened to finish faster than the others. So that was just such a funny day, because my parents rocked up thinking they'll just catch the marathon, and they were going to go and pop off and get their picnic, but they were just waiting for the first woman to come through, just because they wanted to see the first woman. And then my parents were like, hang on a minute, we know her, that's our daughter. And my mum, like, my parents are usually just like really reserved. They were never those parents at swimming club who'd take times and talk about PBs and stuff. They were clueless, and they're still pretty, like, they're getting much better, but my mum still asks really funny questions. But yeah, they don't get too excited. But I saw a different side to them from then on.
Because that day you got the female course record as well. You did 10:22.
Did I? Yeah. I think. Yeah. Well, but it had only been going for a couple of years, so it wasn't like there was a whole load of records. Because I think it's been broken most years since then.
Okay.
So yeah, it was nice at the time, but it was I don't really complicate things. I just sort of start at the beginning and keep going till I get to the end. So I didn't really know what to expect, to be honest. Did
you think at the end of that race, clearly if you're saying, I was just going in there and your friend Dave was saying, oh, you're going to win, and you're saying, no, shut up. Then when you did win, did you think, oh, I'm quite good at this? No, not at all. I still don't think that. I kind of,
in every single race, there always seems to be some way that I can explain how it was a fluke. Although I do remember that summer I went and did, I think it was the same summer, I went and did the European Championships in Finland or something, which was like an 03 distance, which means that you get like a bit of a longer swim and a sort of medium cycle and then a 30k run on the end. And I really surprised myself with that. And I think it was, I went couch surfing afterwards, and I stayed with a really nice couple of students in Helsinki. And I remember lying on the floor, like just on a wooden floor, going to sleep, kind of reflecting on the whole race. And I think I came like 12th overall or something, but I was the first amateur. And I remember being like, oh, that's nice, because it means Outlaw wasn't a fluke. But then I still really didn't know what to make of it, because I kind of just couldn't really compute how it was me and how I seemed to be getting quite good results. But I don't know, really.
That continued, though, into 2012, didn't it? You had a string of, again, like just amazing results. Sort of second in your age group at the World Champs in Kona. You won the Vitruvian. First amateur at the ITU Long Distance World Champs. First in your age category at the British Middle Distance Championships. Ironman South Africa, first amateur. Like, amazing.
Yeah, I know. I'm just obviously very lucky. I don't know. No, so after 2012, I did. Oh no. After 2011, so 2012 was the first season I started working with a coach. I was working with Judith Brand, and that was really good because So when I was training for Outlaw, I just used a book, and I just kind of followed a training plan that I found. I think it was like Joe Frail or something like that, or I don't know, like the Triathlon Training Bible, or I don't know, one of those. But I didn't really bother reading all the complicated bits. Didn't really have time for that, so I just kind of followed the plan and did that. So it was really good when I was getting someone who actually had a bit more knowledge and understanding, sort of directing my training and stuff. So that was good. So I think that it meant that I could improve further rather than just getting stuck at whatever I was doing.
Wow. And so what did you develop specifically, do you think, in that initial time?
I don't know, just generally me as an athlete, I guess, and just sort of general fitness and sort of more purposeful training rather than. I definitely. I started doing sort of different paced runs because when I was training for my first marathon, I would just do every run. I'd just go out the door and not think about how fast I was going. I just sort of do the distance and get home, and that'd be it. It introduced sort of more variation into my training and stuff like that. So I'm not sure really. It's all a bit complicated. I don't overthink it. I just do it.
I love it. Catherine, you're obviously very, very talented naturally, and I really get the impression that, you genuinely do this for the love of it and for having fun. And it's almost like you just happen to be ridiculously talented at the same time.
Thank you. I don't think I'm ridiculously talented, but I think that...
And very, very, very modest.
No, not really. I think, well, you've got to love it because it's like all encompassing, and it does require so many sacrifices, but sacrifices don't feel like sacrifices if actually they're just things that you're doing in order to do what you love type thing. It's like, it's when people fall in love, it's like, so they might make sacrifices for the one they love, but it's not really a sacrifice because they're just doing what they want to do. And I guess it's like, it's the way you look at things. So I don't know. Yeah, no, it's just fun really, but it's just really convenient that what I find really fun can also, you can race in and you can test yourself and hopefully I can make a living from, because if people find watching TV really fun, then that's just a bit unfortunate because no one's going to pay you to sit there and watch TV.
If they're not, you can't make a living out of professional TV watching, can you?
No, not really. No. Unless, what was the...
Gogglebox?
Or the Royal Family. Wasn't that like them just sitting in front of TV?
Yeah.
But yeah. But I wouldn't know because I don't watch TV.
This is the thing, you see, there are certain sacrifices that you make, and actually I don't think you're alone in saying that TV's one of them, that it's the first thing to almost go out the window, and there you go, there's time better spent doing other things. Catherine, talk to me about the Ironman World Championships, your first time there in 2012. When did you first become aware of this race called Kona and the World Champs?
Well, I don't know, but I don't think it can have been much earlier than that, because last year I went to a Kona party, and I realised that it was the first time since I'd been aware of Kona that I was going to a Kona party, because before I just didn't really know what it was. I think it was maybe 2011, because I remember tracking it, and that was the year, I think, that it looked like Chrissy might not win, and it was all a bit devastating, and I was like, what's going on? Because I just heard of this Chrissy Wellington lady. So I mean, it's not on anyone's radar if they're not into triathlon and not into Ironman and stuff. So it was all a bit surreal, but I guess it's not really the experience that people who've been sort of working towards it for a decade and then they find themselves there, because you could be a bit overwhelmed, whereas for me it was all a bit mad still. I don't know really.
How did you find the heat the first time when you went there in 2012?
Oh,
because no offense, you are a very, very pale British person.
Well, I love it because it makes people think that I don't go outside and I don't train, I think. But when I kind of explain to people, like, there's a really, really good reason that polar bears don't live near the equator. And there's also a really good reason that ginger people don't live in hot places. And I did actually get, like, really, really homesick, because you step off the plane and it kind of has that same feeling as when you open the oven door, except you're not about to devour a pizza. You've actually got to be there. And you lug all your bags from the airport to the taxi, which is probably, like, it's the smallest airport ever, so it's maybe like 30 meters of moving your bike box to a taxi, and you're just like, why on earth would anyone exert themselves in this weather? And then you remind yourself you're doing an Ironman, and it's just like, what am I doing here? So yeah, I actually got really, really homesick, because it's just so hot, and I wasn't there with anyone, and it was all kind of new and a bit bonkers, and I was quite far away from places. So I couldn't get around easily. So I hired a scooter, which is quite funny because it actually went slower than a bicycle. So people would overtake me on their TT bikes because it only went like 25 miles an hour. So I'd be like pootling along like full gas, and that was quite funny. But yeah, it was okay. And you sort of do a few training sessions before you sweat like an absolute pig, which I do normally. So it was just a bit crazy. But then, I don't know, I think I was kind of protected by my lack of expectation, because then you don't sort of have all these ideas of what you need to do and stuff. You just sort of take it as it comes and do what you find works for you. So it was quite a good year, but I was very aware that it was my first year and I hoped that I might be there again. So I didn't hold back, but I didn't have the feeling that I needed to do the performance of my life.
And how did you find it as, someone who clearly it hadn't been this goal for 10 years, and, you obviously love it for the fun of it, the joy of it, and then suddenly you're going somewhere whereby it's a crazy, crazy, boiling hot bubble.
Yeah, it was weird meeting other people, because this was like their lifetime ambition, and it was quite surreal. I constantly feel, and I still kind of feel it now, like I feel a bit undeserving of everything, because there are so many people who desperately wanted to get to Kona, and I think sometimes it's felt that it might be a little bit easier for women, and I didn't have too much difficulty qualifying and things like that. And I know that there's other people who seemingly work a lot harder for these things, and so there were times when I felt a little bit like a bit guilty for being there almost. And it took a really long time before I'd sort of call myself a triathlete and stuff, because I just thought triathletes are way too cool, and I couldn't really even be one of them.
Man, you totally deserve to be there, and call yourself a very talented triathlete for sure. You really, really do. So 2013, you actually you were 10th female overall there, weren't you?
Yeah.
Talk us through that race. That's amazing.
Well, yeah, it's funny actually, because since then I've had definitely imperfect races, and I look back to that race and I don't think I quite realised at the time how well it all went, and I don't really know how that all came together, because there were plenty of things that went wrong. Like I mean, obviously one of the really big things that you want to be careful of in Kona is making sure you're hydrating properly. And I had a little tube of like effervescent salt tablets to put in my water, which I dropped in transition before I even started my bike. And I realized, and stuff like that, like now it would kind of throw me, because I'd think, oh no, something bad's going to happen now. But that happened, and nothing happened, and I was fine, and I seemed to do a really good race, and I didn't have any sort of tummy upsets or anything. And I don't know, it just, I can't, if I knew what happened, then I think I probably would have had better races since, but it seemed to just go really well, and everything just kind of clicked together. And you know, people talk about like really dark times on the bike and dark times on the run, and just like pushing through it and really pushing yourself, but it never really felt as if I was sort of outside of myself, if that makes sense. Like, I mean, I was obviously working hard, but not hammering it. And yeah, and then you just kind of think, well, I'll just keep going and I'll get to the end, and happy days. Then I can sit down. That's always what I'm most looking forward to. Sitting
down.
Yeah. And water. And like, mainly I'm just thinking about like what I'm going to eat once I cross the finish line.
Did you know where you were in comparison to the other amateur females and the others in your age group throughout that race?
Well, you sort of sometimes know. You're never really quite sure what information to take as gospel and what not. Because there's lots of well-meaning sort of spectators who will shout things at you. Especially, I mean, people might find this in other races. If there's a lapped run, people are sometimes not quite sure which lap certain people are on and things, and so they might say, "Come on, she's just behind you," and actually she might be a lap in front of you or something like that. But in that race, I had some pretty good people. I was part of Team Free Speed, so there was a lot of support of them, and so everyone was giving me quite good information. When I first started the run, I was a big distance, about 17, 18 minutes behind somebody. Which some friends decided not to tell me because they just thought it would spook me, and quite rightly, I'd have never thought I'd be able to catch someone up who was that far ahead. And
when did you catch her? What point did you catch her?
I think it was like on the way, like, I don't know, first half. So, wow. But I mean, she'd hammered the bike and then had to walk, so I passed her when she was walking, which is kind of annoying because it doesn't really feel like a proper little victory if someone's walking. Yeah, so I was getting some good information, but then some people were saying things even better than they really were, if that makes sense. Not intentionally, but just it's really hard to tell, and sometimes the tracker is difficult, and it's difficult to access when you're on the course and things. So I think I'm realising that now as well, when placing and gaps are even more important. It'd be so good to have better information on the course. Like in Kona for the pros, they've got they'll have like a little blackboard and they'll sketch up like gaps of people and stuff, and then they'll ride past on the motorbike, but you don't get any of that sort of thing. So that's why I guess that I don't really respond to other people. I just keep going my own speed, and I just hope that that'll get me through.
And very much within like your own race then.
Yeah.
Did you get to stand on the stage because they have 10th placing, don't they? Did they allow you up there as 10th? Of course not. No, like if you're an amateur, you're not recognised as any of that sort of placing. And it was the same in Challenge Roth actually. So the girls behind me, I mean, it's pretty good for number 10 in Kona number 11, because it meant that she was the 10th pro, so she still gets the 10th pro prize money, and she still has over her blog and website that she was 10th pro, which quite rightly she was. But I don't know, it's the first time ever that I sort of had a placing within the pros, which would have got me a little bit of money. I think it was like £200 or £300, and I thought, oh, well, that's quite funny, isn't it? And then when it gets a bit more and a bit more, it's kind of a bit annoying when actually then you just get a handshake or something. But it was the same in Roth. So the person behind me, she was the 7th female but 6th pro. So but that was, I mean, that's just how it is. And now it's my turn. I've decided to turn pro, and there'll probably be some sort of pesky age grouper who's getting in front of me at some point, but hopefully I'll be able to deal with it. Was so Roth 2014 I mean, I will not lie, Catherine, I have your website up in front of me, and other people might not. So you did 9 hours, 9 minutes and 47 seconds, first amateur female, 6th female overall. That's amazing.
Thanks. I think you always know the story inside, and it's not always apparent, and you don't always tell everyone. And I certainly felt that I was capable of far more. And I think this was this is the first of my sort of less than perfect races. And it was a good day, but I just wasn't quite where I wanted to be. And I think also there was a lot of pressure on myself because it was going to be my last race before I sort of went off the radar a bit and knuckled down and did a couple of years of being a doctor. So I kind of wanted to go out with a bang, and it wasn't really the bang that I hoped for. So I was obviously really pleased with that time, but yeah, you know in yourself when you've sort of done a good race, and if I felt that I'd executed it perfectly and completely done the very, very best that I was able to do, then I'd be happy with any time. But yeah, I've definitely got lots more to improve on.
I love this, and this is what's really exciting, because 2014 you were still while you were doing all of this, like, you know, brilliant results, you were still working as, you know, you were still doing your medicine at that point, weren't you?
Yeah, but like I had some really understanding consultants and stuff like that, and I mean I was a decent student and I did the work that I needed to do, and I like passed all my exams absolutely fine, but you certainly don't have to work as hard as a student as people do in their jobs and things like that. And it was like I used to spend a lot of time cycling around the Peak District, let's say, and and that was brilliant. Like I didn't skive too much, but I do remember this one time there was there was a bus between the two hospitals in Sheffield, and it would be like a shuttle bus service, so it would wait about 10 minutes at Northern General Hospital before then it would turn around and go back. And I remember once getting off the bus, getting to my ward, discovering that there wasn't that much going on and the consultant wasn't there, and hopping straight back on the same bus, and the bus driver looking a bit confused. But that didn't happen very often, but I was certainly able to do a fairly decent amount of training, so, and sort of balance the two. But it was quite fortunate at med school that all of our important exams were in the winter. So the last couple of years, I'd sort of just get through the summer, and we wouldn't have too many assessments and things. And then I'd have to just cram for the whole of November, which at the time, it always seemed like a terrible idea. But then in the summer, it seemed like a great idea.
I wanted to ask, actually, how did you manage to, time management wise, and, you know, body clock all over the place with sort of silly shifts and everything like that, how did you manage it all, Catherine?
Oh, well, we didn't really have to do that many silly shifts when I was a student. I had to do a few like night shifts, like 1 January when I was doing my A&E placement, but like I wasn't doing loads and loads of training at that point. And again, we'd sort of, when it got quiet at 4 a.m, we'd slope off at that time. We wouldn't have to stay until like 8, so you can sort of manage your body clock just about. But time management, I don't know, because the thing is, I didn't do very much work, but a lot of that was because I used to spend a lot of time cooking, and I don't think it could be completely attributed to the training, but I spent ages like doing sort of really labor intensive like meals, which would take about an hour and a half to cook and about 4 minutes to eat. And I think that was part of the reason I really didn't have time for much work, because that's another one of my loves.
So it was training, cooking, and then a little bit of work on the side.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Kind of work when I really, really had to, and it was work when it was absolutely necessary to pass something. So yeah, but I got through, so it's fine. It's I'm an okay doctor.
So 2014, then you obviously then was like, right, that's kind of it for a while. I have to go and do the junior doctor stuff. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, so talk us through that then, having to basically almost put a temporary halt on your triathlon career when really you were going amazingly.
Yeah. It was a little bit of a slightly miserable time, let's say. I think it's really hard for all junior doctors, and it's really hard for I think anyone who sort of leaves behind that life of being able to have loads of fun and freedom, and has to take on sort of a lot of restriction in your time, and just basically grow up and be an adult and do a proper adult job. Like, that's really hard. But I think it's made even harder when your interests are such that you kind of need daylight, you need regular hours and things like that, to be able to cycle with other people. And I went to a new place as well, so that was kind of hard. And yeah, I mean, I think some people have it way harder, and I won't pretend that it was so much harder for me than anyone else. But I found it really, really tough. It was really, really helpful in Cambridge, actually, because there's the swimming club there, and there's a really, really good gang of people. Lucy Gossage is kind of the ringleader, and they're really, really welcoming. And swimming in the mornings, it was like stupid o'clock, like 5:30, but that really sort of kept me going, and kept me ticking over. And there was a point that I literally did no training. It was horrible because my stress was rocketing with the job, like the emotional stress and everything. And my stress relief mechanisms had plummeted because I wasn't doing any training. And I was really sort of really missing the day-to-day endorphins that you get when you're training. And yeah, it was pretty bleak at times. I felt like a bit of a shadow of myself.
And that's horrible. It's almost like a sort of clipping a bird's wings or something like that, isn't it?
So much. It's a bit like, when race horses can't race anymore and they get put down. I felt a bit like that. Like, I suddenly understood that.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely the clipped wings.
And so were you able to, I mean, I don't know, were you managing to swim, say, twice a week and then perhaps stick your trainers on for 20 minutes here and there, or?
It was swim twice a week, on a good week, because sometimes like shifts would get in the way and stuff like that. And yeah, I remember going on this run, which was literally about 12 minutes, and it felt so hard. And the other difficulty is that the things that used to pick you up and cheer you up, they didn't really seem to do that anymore because they just felt so hard. So what a bike ride that would usually feel like I was set free would just feel really, really hard, even though it's really flat in Cambridge. So it was, I mean, really, really irregular with the running. I can't even really remember completely. And I'd go on the occasional bike ride, but I remember this one time when I tried cycling back from my grandma's, and she lives about 65, 70 miles away, and there was engineering works on the train, so I thought, well, I'll just cycle back, it's fine. I've done Ironmans, it's not a big deal. Like, what's 130 miles in a day? That's nothing. And I've never been so close to having to like phone up a taxi to take me home. It was awful. And I kind of did a bit of a reality check, and I realized that I wasn't really that person anymore who could do Ironmans and stuff. I had to sort of give myself a bit of a break.
Wow. But it's difficult, isn't it, to accept that? Really difficult when you have been at this amazing peak of fitness and then suddenly you're not. That's pretty hard. But when did the light at the end of the tunnel, when did that start to emerge?
I always knew it was there, because that's something that I've really noticed over these 2 years. It's like time just rolls on. And I know that sounds really, really obvious, but wherever I am, it's like, actually, the end of the shift will come, and the end of the week will come, and the end of the 12-day run of ridiculous shifts where you don't get a day off. It will come as long as you just keep moving in the same direction. And you can't not. You don't really have a choice about it. And the same with an Ironman. It's like, as long as you just keep going, it's like it comes. And so the same with the couple of years, but definitely like the being reminded that by sort of people around me. And my bike sponsor, Pritchard Cycles, they were so supportive and encouraging. And even when I was like, other people would laugh at me when I told them that I wanted to be a pro triathlete. And this was when I was like dropping off the back of the slow ride with Cambridge Tri Club, and they'd look at me with pity when I said that I'd quite like to do triathlon full time, and quite understandably, because I wasn't really looking like I was a pro triathlete shaped person at that point. But yeah, Pritchard Cycles, they were there the whole time, and sometimes when I needed new bits and pieces, it would just be a little note saying like, sort of keep going, and that was really great. But yeah, I guess there was always light. It was Easter in the first year of being a doctor when I decided to sort of get stuff together. I'd taken myself out to Mallorca and I was staying in an Airbnb and went on a few bike rides. And again, it was like, I thought, oh, I know, I'll do the 70.3 course. And that just felt so tough. And I think as a triathlete, I'm like, yeah, let's go do a race course, or let's go recce this, or let's do this epic ride. And realizing that I wasn't there anymore. But sort of, I had a few days there and it was okay, but I was just a bit sort of lonely and wasn't enjoying the cycling as much as I hoped I would. So that was when I sort of decided to get in touch with a coach and sort myself out and sort of make a plan so that I could hit the ground running once I'd finally got to the end of the tunnel.
And so that was that Siri Lindley?
Yes, yeah, that was, yeah.
So you linked up with her, what, just over a year ago then?
So that was like Easter 2015.
Okay, yep.
And I started like properly training in May. And I think the first few runs and the first few weeks and stuff, it was like I'd look at it and I'd be like, oh, this is just ridiculous. Like, I'm finding this so hard and it's just unbelievable. Like, I don't know. I'm sure I went from like slower and less fit than I ever had been before. But I think it's probably because once you have the comparison to make, like when you're unfit, the first time around, you don't know that you're unfit. But once you've been fit and then you become unfit, then it's very, very apparent to you. So, yeah.
And what's it been like working with Siri? We have had her on the show, and both Rob and I have said, you just need to talk to Siri for 2 minutes and you feel like you are alive and you feel so inspired. What's she like to work with as a coach?
She's awesome. Like, the reason I chose her was because I knew that I was quite fragile at that point, and I needed someone who was going to really sort of value me as a person and not just a kind of athlete, not just a body for training, like
not just another number kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I really wanted someone who was gonna sort of understand me and my emotions and what I was kind of struggling with and stuff like that. And she was definitely the right option for me. And obviously, like, she's had fantastic results with other athletes, so I knew that she could nurture that side of things. And yeah, I kind of wanted someone who was gonna look after the whole of me, if that makes sense. And she's just been brilliant. And we get on really well, and I think we communicate really well. And I think communication, like, everyone groans at med school, because at medical school everyone's like, especially if you're at one of these newer ones, and Sheffield prides itself on the communication side of things, and everyone's like, oh, boring. But communication is like, it makes the world go round, and it's the key. And if everybody would talk to each other more, then there'd be less arguments. And I'm sure that talking, I probably talk too much. I definitely talk too much, but
talking's great. More. I agree.
Talking's great, especially to coaches and stuff. Because actually, I look back on some coaching that I had, and I didn't give any feedback ever. That was another thing. When I was at my course in Leeds, doing the international health, they'd always say feedback is a gift, and they'd make us fill in a feedback questionnaire about every single teaching session we ever had. But actually, it made it all a lot better. And the same with coaching. It's like, I'm sure that coaches, like, they must do their head in when their athletes never tell them what's going on, because I don't know how anyone can set a training schedule for someone if they're not hearing about how the last one went and how their athlete's feeling and stuff, and what's going on in their life, but also like how they're responding to the training that they're doing and stuff. So so I try and give as good feedback as possible, but we talk a lot, so it's good.
And do you talk sort of via Skype and things like that, or I don't know, FaceTime, that kind of thing? Do you speak a few
mainly
times a week?
By email, which means that it's sort of on the end of I try to put it on the end of every session I do. So that's going to be like, sometimes I just find myself talking about how lovely the weather is and how excited I was to do something or whatever. And sometimes it's not really like high quality feedback, maybe. I realize that I talk about the weather a lot. I'm such an English stereotype. I know, it's hilarious, isn't it? But the thing is, like, maybe I've got a really short memory, but literally every single session I'm like, this was the most beautiful morning that has ever been, ever. And then I'll say exactly the same thing the next day. Like, presumably I've either forgotten how good it was, or every single day gets better. But yeah,
you know
so I
what?
talk a lot about the weather.
and what Siri can take from that is that you're happy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's so true. Because even in the rain, I'm like, it was raining and it was great. So yeah, she probably thinks like our whole nation is crackers if she judges it by me. But yeah, no. So we talk a lot, and then like I try and do a sort of weekly email, which again, it will be lots of chitter chatter, but hopefully some useful stuff in there. And I mean, I'm loving the training that she's giving me, so she must be able to be getting something from that and making something useful from it. So that's good. Do you have
a favourite session that she's given you so far, or a favourite couple that you can sort of share with us?
Ooh, I don't know really. I think I just love all of it. So I can't really give one specific. There are a few that I definitely dislike. Mainly the hypoxic stuff in the swimming pool. I like breathing. It's quite useful. I've been doing it all my life. So not breathing while swimming is not my favourite thing. But no, I just really love all of it. And I love it when she's like, this is my favourite. Although I'm sure that she says that about half of it. Because I know that if she loves it and if she's really passionate. And also I think it's the really horrible stuff. Like I used to absolutely hate the treadmill. Like absolutely hate it. I still call it the dreadmill. And I just don't understand it. And for me, part of what I love about training is getting out in the world and, I don't know, being outside and stuff like that. So I just don't get the treadmill. But actually, because I hate it so much, like it's almost turned around and I love it because I detest it. And so I dread it. And then when it's done, it's just so great. And there's nowhere to hide and you can go so fast. And I used to be really scared of falling off the back or crashing into the sides or just general treadmill mishaps that I imagined. But I think, yeah, now I just love it. I have this sort of nervous anticipation of it, and then I do it and it's like, yeah, awesome.
And is that once a week sort of treadmill training?
No, it's funny actually, because previously, like I could always see a real pattern in my training. Yeah. And with Siri, it's like, I think there's like literally since I started with her the Easter before last, I think there's only been like 3 sessions or 4 sessions which have been repeated. Every other one is like completely new and different every single time. And I just like kind of blows my mind how there can be so much variation in what she sets me. And I'm certain there is like wisdom and planning behind it, but I can't see a pattern at all, which is really cool because every single week awesome. when new training comes into my little training peaks thing, I'm like, woohoo, look how good that looks. So yeah, I get really excited because I look through it and I'm like, oh yes, cool. So bit of a downer after a race when you get a day, like a week off and then like week easy stuff and I want to get going again. Never mind.
I love it. Patience completely. Do you think you will get out to Boulder at all to do some?
Yeah, I'd love to at some point. If only just to like, I don't know, just because it's Boulder, it's cool. It's like Yorkshire. I'll probably get up to Yorkshire again soon. It's a bit cheaper to get to. But yeah. I don't know. I might wait for the pound to get a bit stronger first. Or maybe if it's really rubbish, I might just move to America, or I don't know. I like not planning too far ahead, but I'd love to get out to Boulder. I don't know whether it would suit me because it's obviously like a bit of a hub, and some people are really motivated by training alongside their sort of rivals and stuff like that. So I think that'd be really interesting. And also, I don't know, I get quite homesick in America. I think it's just, I don't know, I just get quite a lot of culture shock, more so than when I go to other very different countries, which are completely different to our own. But I think it's also like the food is just really, really different to our food. And I think I'd struggle with that. But apparently Boulder is all like healthy and I don't know, they all
Whole Foods, lots of whole food stores.
They pretty much only have smoothies and stuff, don't they? So
yeah, smoothies and coffees. That's it.
Yeah, exactly. So that'll probably be okay. But yeah, I don't know. Don't really rule anything out or make any certain decisions at all. I don't know.
Love it. So is the plan to try again for Kona next year?
So yeah, that's the plan. Vichy that I just did is the first of the sort of new Kona qualifying year.
Yep.
So for like a whole week, I'm going to be near the top of the rankings, which is quite exciting. I'll be sort of, it's much more difficult for pros to qualify than it will have been for me as an amateur.
Yep.
Ironically, because of winning your age group, that counts as you're winning your age group in any sort of race. So I got like an automatic qualification from 2013 when I won my age group for 2014, and I don't think I'll ever have that luxury again. But so I'll be building up points over this year, and then hopefully Kona 2017.
Awesome. So what's the next race that you've got coming up?
I don't know. It all kind of depends on my recovery from this last race. So we'll wait and see. Really,
watch this space.
I definitely. It's good that Siri can sort of limit me, because I'd do everything if I could, which wouldn't be very sensible. So not sure yet, but hopefully another one before the year's out.
Love it. Now, Kathleen, you mentioned Mike at Bridgetown Bikes earlier on.
Yes. Yeah.
So they're one of your key sponsors then. I think we've mentioned Bridgetown Bikes a few times on the podcast, because I've said he is amazing for bike fits. He's a good guy, isn't he?
He's brilliant. I think that so he's always bike fitted me, and I've always felt really, really comfortable on my bike. And I think that people don't quite recognize enough a good bike fit being demonstrated by a fast marathon, because people I think at Kona especially, I got one of the fastest female runs, and people just look at your bike split, and then they think, right, well that shows a good bike fit or whatever. But it's really important to be getting off the bike comfortable, not achy, and ready to run a really good marathon. And for me, in later years, the run has become my strength, and I wouldn't want that to be compromised by the cycle. And so for me, I think delivering me to T2 in the best possible form and condition is a lot thanks to Mike.
And he's just an all-round good egg.
Oh yeah, totally. Like one of the best in the world. I wish everything and everyone in triathlon and all of sort of I don't know. I wish it was all like that. They're just brilliant. They like nothing is too much trouble and stuff, and they're just absolutely brilliant. My parents are not sporty at all, and everyone thinks it's really funny that I've come from my family, because they kind of look at it and they're like, oh, well, how did that happen? But my parents more recently have got a bit more into sort of leisure cycling, and they did a Land's End John O'Groats, and I was so proud of them. And they got their bikes from Mike as well, and he sort of did a bit of a fit for them, and they love it. So it's not just kind of the crazy expensive high end mad beautiful bikes like the one I'm on. It's my parents like sort of level of cycling. They get a perfect service as well. So can't go wrong. I love Bridgetown Cycles.
And I wanted to ask you one more question, two more. The second to last one is, you mentioned earlier, and I think I've read it before, you spent a year with Team Sky. What exactly were you doing, and what did you learn from it?
So I was drinking a lot of coffee and drooling over a lot of nice bikes. And so basically I was like the medical assistant. I was based in Manchester, which meant that I did a lot with British cycling as well, actually possibly even more with the British cyclists, because obviously all the track guys were training there day to day, whereas the Team Sky guys would only really come if they had an issue. But I was sort of general medical dog's body. So it was kind of weird actually, because I initially was commuting over from Sheffield, and I'd be listening to the radio or reading the news or whatever, and it would say, oh, so-and-so's just crashed out of this race, which it's not usual that you read in a newspaper what is going to dictate your daily workload, because it would mean that we'd have to organise for them to get back to Manchester, and I'd go and pick them up at the airport in one of the really fast Jaguars, and then like deliver them to the relevant sort of orthopedic surgeon to get them fixed up and stuff. But it was really interesting. I'm not sure if I'd ever want to do sort of elite sports medicine as a career, just because it's a bit of a crazy world. And Yeah, I'm not sure if it's me, but yeah, it was really interesting meeting all the cyclists, and obviously a lot of the guys who did amazingly in Rio were there when I was there as well. Also, they're the easiest people in the world to take blood samples from because they've got massive veins and zero body fat, so that's quite nice. But yeah, just interesting people, interesting stuff. And obviously all the marginal gain stuff was quite fascinating. But I'd never tell them about my triathlon stuff because there's not always loads of respect from cyclists for triathletes. So I just kind of kept it quiet. And then when I started getting a few good results, people were like, oh, you kind of do this quite seriously then. I think they just thought I'd go out for like little poodles at the weekend and stuff. But yeah.
Did you get a few congratulatory messages after Vichy from any of them?
No, I'm not really that much in touch with them, to be honest. And they're all, I mean, yeah, no, I didn't really tell them a lot about what I did because I just kept it quiet. And I'm not one, like, I don't really tell people much, especially, I mean, in the hospital as well. It's sort of a different world. I feel a bit like Mr. Ben in that I put on a different outfit and I'm a different person. So I put on my Lycra, I'm a triathlete. I put on my work clothes, I'm a doctor, or I'm a medical assistant or whatever. So the worlds don't really cross that much. And the world of pro cycling is sort of so far distant to triathlon, and yeah, I don't know, it's just different.
It's fascinating. It's so interesting. My final question, Catherine, is if you could give one tip to our listeners about succeeding in triathlon or training, what would your one tip be?
Oh, one tip?
Yeah, you can give two. Go on, you can give two.
Well, I think consistency is key. Like, I haven't done anything clever or secret or impressive, or anything that anyone else isn't doing, but it's all about consistency. And because I love training, I hate missing a session. So I don't ever, because I love it. So consistency for sure. And also just don't complicate things. Like, people make stuff so complicated and it's not complicated. It's just, you just sort of go out there, swim a bit, pedal a bit, run a bit, and then you get to the end and you just kind of try and do it quite quick. But all these like tactics and I don't know, all sorts of crazy things that people do, or dietary stuff. It's like, just kind of generally eat healthily and listen to your body. And yeah, I think that, like, there's lots of fads and there's lots of foodie fads and there's lots of new things and there's lots of really technical stuff that you can do. And actually, it's like, for most people and for me still, it's not quite yet about marginal gains. It's not milliseconds yet. It's the big stuff. So just do the big stuff right and you'll get there.
Great interview there with Catherine Faux. And next up, Helen managed to score an interview with ex-pro skateboarder and Dirty Sanchez star Matt Pritchard.
Pritch, hello and welcome to the Cover Triathlon podcast. Quite excited to have you on.
Thank you very much. I'm looking forward to what questions are coming up.
So, Pritch, for people that don't know, just give a little bit of your background, because people might have been aware of you through MTV a few years ago.
Yeah, well, my name's Mathew Pritchard, 43, and basically I started out skateboarding at the age of 15, and I was on the skateboard circuit for quite a few years, and then Dirty Sanchez happened, and well, as you can imagine, life went absolutely crazy and changed quite a bit. And then I went from there and started to pick up triathlon and endurance sports.
So most people go into triathlon with the background of, I don't know, maybe like running, or maybe they swam as a youngster. I'd imagine not many went in as former skateboarders.
Yeah, I mean, I've always, it's a weird one really. I've always just enjoyed, I used to skate every single day, so I was fit, and in good shape and stuff. And then Dirty Sanchez happened, and sorry, you hear my dog's feet pitter-patter in the distance. Let me come here, I'm sick. And yes, when Dirty Sanchez happened, like I said before, you know, a lot of money ended up in the bank account, and my lifestyle completely changed. And not one being shy of a good night out, I partied my pants off, and when you party your pants off, live the high life for quite a few years, and it starts to show in your health, and in many ways, really. And I just thought, Christ, this is not me, and I wanted to do something about it, because I saw some footage of me on TV. I thought, Christ almighty, I bloated out, I was yellow, I just looked in a right mess. I thought, right, yep, time to change. So when I was 15, I did the Cardiff half marathon when I was 15. And I thought, I wonder if I still could do that. Obviously, quite a few years later. And so I started training for that, really, and that's where it started.
So we can blame the Cardiff half marathon for it?
Yeah, well, when I completed the half marathon, there was a skateboarder called Danny Way, and I remember we were speaking about it when we were on tour somewhere like that anyway, and they said he'd done an Ironman, and I said, what's an Ironman? Somebody, they told me what it was, and I thought, Christ almighty, Danny Way never did that, did he? And yeah, apparently he did really well. He came first or something like that. And I was always quite intrigued by it, and so it was. I knew it was in it was molded into my brain. I thought, hang on a minute, it was just one of those things that, you know, when it's in your head. And then my friend Butsy Butler sent me a YouTube video of Rick and Dick Hoyt, father and son. One of the son's disabled, and it was a video of him taking his swimming with his son in a dinghy, picking his son out of the dinghy, putting him on a specially made bike, and then putting him in a wheelchair and pushing him in the marathon. So I just couldn't believe it. It just really inspired me. I thought, well, if these guys can do it, then so can I. And literally as soon as I stopped watching that YouTube clip, I looked online for Ironman, if there was an Ironman in the UK, and it was Ironman Bolton.
Yep.
And I signed up. I didn't have a clue. I mean, I knew I could swim. I could swim a little bit, but I wasn't the best swimmer. I never really did cycling like that. But I knew I could run. So out of the whole three disciplines, I think the only one I really knew I had a good clue about doing was running. So I just asked a few people if they wanted to join me, like my brother and two of my other friends, and they said, yeah, I'd love to do it. And then the journey started there, really.
That's amazing. So which year did you do the Cardiff half marathon for the second time?
I think that might have been about 2000. I'm guessing, about 2007, 2008.
And then Ironman UK 2009.
With 2009, yeah.
Wow. So you know that, like, the minute you crossed that finish line, was it in the castle, maybe in Cardiff that year?
Yeah.
And then
it was in the castle somewhere, yeah.
somewhere. One year it was, definitely. I remember doing it, and I was like, oh, we're in the castle. But
right.
did you sort of get that sense and that buzz of endorphins again, thinking, hey, I've achieved this? And then obviously then you looked up, you know, the Hoyt thing. But was it that kind of sense that you get when you finish something and you're like, I want a bit more of this as well?
Yeah, I've got a really addictive personality. And when I do something, and if I do get that feeling of enjoyment off it, then I have to take it a little bit further, really. But yeah, there was that. I think it's just that achievement of crossing the line. With, you know, you can't just, you have to train for these things. There's a lot of work put into it before the event, and once you've crossed that line, it's the endorphins. I just get a really good buzz out of doing stuff like that, running, cycling, swimming. Just makes me feel good.
And I think most of us probably get that same buzz, don't we? It is that sense of you just feel great. Yeah, some days are really hard, some days you don't want to get out of bed to do it, but generally, as like taking the year on year, you generally feel pretty good.
Yeah, because I get some of my, well, a lot of people will disagree with me, but I get some of my best ideas when I'm running, or cycling, or swimming. Because I've got so much time to think, some of the challenges I've thought of when I've been running. So I'll get back, I'm like, yeah, that's a good idea. I'm going to run half a marathon every day for 30 days. And once I get that kind of idea in my head, then I have to see it through. So, it's a really positive thing. I really enjoy it. And like you said, it's the hardest part is getting out of bed or getting off the sofa. But you know that as soon as you get out of bed and get off that sofa, as soon as you're out doing it, you're so happy that you've done it, and you come back and you buzz in. You're always happier when you've completed a workout, but you're really unhappy if you fail to go out and do it.
So true, so true.
It is, isn't it? Because you really beat yourself up. Because if you know you've got a workout to do and you sit in your ass and you watch TV, you're more peed off than if you actually got off your sofa in the first place. If that makes any sense.
No, it makes a lot of sense. So how did you find that when you had entered Ironman UK and you're saying, you didn't really have much clue about any of it? Like, how did you find that year pretty much of training leading up to it? And did you get a coach at that point, or were you just looking online and following different plans to prepare for it?
It's a good question. I sort of tried to look online for certain things, but there wasn't really that much information online. But the only information online that there was, you'd have to pay for it. I thought, I'm not paying for somebody to tell me how to swim, cycle, and run. I know to do that. You just swim as far as you can and cycle as far as you can. So I more or less, one day I'd go swimming, and I'd swim until I was absolutely knackered. And then I was doing the same with cycling, and I was doing the same with running. So it wasn't, don't get me wrong, it wasn't the right way to train. Looking back now that I know a lot more, but that's how I trained, really. I just went out and killed myself. And I thought, it just made sense to me. So, the further I go, the more my body's going to be used to it on the day. So that was my way of thinking, really.
And looking back on it now, are you just like, well, I'm glad I did it that way, because you probably had a load of fun doing it.
Yeah, I mean, I looking back, it's hilarious, because since I joined up with a coach 2 years ago, when he gave me my first month's workout calendar, I thought, there's not much there. But obviously, it's just sensible, clever training, and that was just not in my vocabulary, to be honest. Go out and have it. That was my thought on training. But and it wasn't until after a few months of doing what my coach told me to say, no, hang on a minute, I'm seeing a big difference here to my speed and everything, and it just all started to make sense. And I thought, right, I was drilling my body into the ground for no reason at all. But hey, you live and learn, didn't you?
That's it. You absolutely learned from it. So then you went from doing Ironman UK, and then you did. Am I right in saying you did a couple more Ironmans after that? But then you were like, hang on, there's got to be a better challenge.
I did Ironman Bolton. For the one that I really trained for, the first one, brilliant, loved it, absolutely amazing, couldn't believe how hard it was, and I thought, I've got to do this again next year. As soon as you cross the line, you say, as soon as you cross the line, never again, you say. As soon as you have a shower, sit down, think back, actually, I wouldn't like doing that again. So I signed up for it again the following year, but I didn't really train for it, but I still went for it anyway. But so my time, I didn't beat my time, but I managed to finish just about. But that almost killed me, and that taught me a massive lesson. Not be so stupid. So I just started looking for bigger challenges. I think actually I ran from John O'Groats. I don't even know in what order this is. It's how pickled my mind is. But I ran from John O'Groats to Land's End, and that was another thing that I did. And I did it in 30 days. I was averaging about 35 miles a day.
Wow.
And then I thought, well, I cycled it now. I ran it. I might as well cycle it. So I cycled it then, and I did it in eight days. And I think I was doing... Do you know what? I think I cycled it before my first Ironman.
Okay.
Or was it my second Ironman? I'd see it on my head, right? I don't even know what order I've done these things in. But anyway, yeah, I mean, whatever. I ran and I cycled John O'Groats to Land's End, did the Ironman Bolton twice, and then I was just from then on, I was just addicted to just doing triathlons and exercising, running, cycling, and swimming, and I was just looking for the next big thing.
And which did you prefer? Did you prefer cycling from John's End to... have I just said John's End? Land's End to John O'Groats. Did you prefer cycling it or running it?
It's strange. Running it was really, really, really hard, especially on the body. I think for about 10 days in, we were in a right pickle, like properly. And we had a camper van and stuff, and there was 3 of us. And yeah, it was pretty hard. Cycling, it was both. I enjoyed both of them. I can't really pigeonhole one, really, to be honest. I mean, the running was more challenging, much more challenging, but the cycling was challenging as well, but a little bit more enjoyable. But of course, dickhead by you, but it'd be good. Well, if we go from John O'Groats, that means we're coming down the country, and we're not far away from home. Little did I know that the wind actually blows up the UK.
Yeah.
So most days we had really bad headwinds. Oh. But hey-oh.
Wow.
You live and learn then.
I love it. We seem to be... We're doing a lot of learning. I love it. And then, right, Pritch, tell me, last year, or was it this year? Again, still confused. About your 30... That was earlier this year, wasn't it? 30 half Ironmans you did, didn't you? Day after day.
Yeah, well, I did the double brutal last year, in October last year, which is a double Ironman, but up in Snowdon. I just like, most probably at the point, it was one of the hardest things I'd ever done. I don't know if you've been up to Snowdon, but the bike course was just absolutely brutal. I think I climbed the same height as Everest, I think it was, in the 224-mile bike.
Wow.
So
where did it go? Because I think quite a few people quite a few listeners, UK listeners might have done Slate Man, or they might have done the Snowdonia Marathon, something like that. So does it follow any there? When you do the Slate Man, because I did the Slate Man 1 year as well, when you do the Slate Man, as you come out of the water, you've got that big climb going up. Yep. But then when you come down the other side, and you get to the junction, you do a right, and you just keep going down. So basically, I had to climb that 8 times. Ooh. So I think it's about a 5-mile climb, just climbing, and there's 33 mile loops, and 8 of them, we had to do 8 of them. So there's you were cycling overnight as well as Snowdonia. Snowdonia's, there's no street lamps. It really is pitch black in the night, and you have to have a really good light on your bike, and it gets really cold, really lonely, and I was just super exhausted, really cold, and I was just tripping my box off. The floor was moving, the walls had faces, and I was just like, oh my god, I'm losing my mind here. But I had to sit down at one point and take 5 minutes, get back on the bike, and then as soon as you finish the bike, then you have to climb up Snowdon to start. Well, it's a 52-mile run, Wow.
And 9 of that is climbing up Snowdon. I mean, I was in such bits. But literally, I couldn't get through because I felt so horrible. I find it hard to get food down my neck, and we all know that nutrition is everything when it comes to doing endurance. If there's nothing in the tank, you're not going anywhere. So I was literally just trying to stuff food down my neck, and the only thing I could get down was bananas. And my mate was with me, supporting me going up Snowdon, and I was all over the place, falling everywhere. Just managed to get some gel. I don't really agree with gels, but I had to do something. I got a gel down my neck, but I managed to get to the top, get down, and start the run then, and I did it. I can't remember how long it took me. It took me about 44 hours.
Wow.
But I was glad to finish that. I'm telling you, but I suppose if anyone out there who has ever done, I highly recommend it. It's such a good challenge, and the good thing about it, in the daytime, the scenery is just stunning. It was amazing. So I had that base from doing the double brutal, and then I had a meeting with a guy called Jeff from Big Moose, who is one of the charities that I support. And he told me about the Iron Cowboy. And he said, have you seen this guy on Instagram?
Now we mentioned this guy, yes.
Yeah, and he said he's doing 50 full Ironman in 50 days in 50 states. And I went, you what? I said, you winding me? I honestly thought he was winding me up. He said, no, check it out on Instagram. I looked at him, so I thought, bloody hell, he is as well.
Yeah.
And I just started following him, and I was following his journey, and I thought, Christ, he's doing it here. And he did it. He finished. I just thought, wow. I honestly thought you could never do that. And I couldn't get it out of my mind. And every time I was running and cycling and stuff, I was just thinking about this guy in this Iron Cowboy. Oh, Christ, man, that's some achievement. And I thought I'd love to be able to do something like that. And it just entered my mind. I thought, I wonder if I could do 30, because years ago I did 30 half marathons in 30 days in November with my brother.
Okay.
And I thought, I wonder if I could do 30 half Ironmen in 30 days. I thought, I wonder what month I could do it in. I thought, if I do it in March, on March the 30th, it's my birthday, so I said I could finish on my birthday and have a good celebration to finish the challenge on my birthday, blah, blah, blah. So the more I kept thinking about it, the more it made sense. I checked my diary. Have I got anything booked in for March? No, I didn't. I thought the weather will be a little bit kinder in March. So I sat down with Jeff from Big Moose and told him my idea, and he loved it. And then we started working on it.
Fantastic. And so you started on the 1st of March and you finished on the 30th?
Yeah.
Wow. So how did you prepare for it? Not just physically, but mentally as well. How did you prepare?
Mark Whittle gave me a training plan, obviously. I had a good base from the double. I was vegan. I turned vegan as well. So I was eating very well. And I mean, mentally, I don't know. I just think I'm pretty good when it comes to stuff like that. I can just switch off.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those kind of things. If you're doing endurance stuff, if you can't teach yourself to switch off, I think you're going to be in a bit of trouble. And I just sort of go into, I don't know, just start daydreaming. I always got told in school I was good at daydreaming.
Came in handy.
That's why I didn't have any GCSEs. That's a good question. I don't know, I just trained, really. I just trained, kept my head down. And I was told by my coach, Mark Whittle and Jeff and stuff, they said, just take it easy now. Go on average 15 mile an hour on the bike, go easy in the water, on the run. You've got 30 days to do this. So we just played it by ear and just, they were asking me how I was feeling, what I was going through, and we were very prepared and we were very organised. So yeah, it was pretty good. I mean, the first 2 days were you couldn't have asked for worse weather.
Lovely Wales in March. It's, guaranteed 30 degrees.
Well, it's the opposite. I think it's pissed down. I mean, torrential rain on the bike, so I was soaked. And then the day after was 70-mile-an-hour winds, and it was that bad that it almost pushed me off my bike. But they were the two worst days weather-wise. I was pretty lucky. I had 2 weeks of more or less bone dry weather, which I was lucky about.
Awesome. And Mark, sorry, not Mark Whittle, that's your coach, Pritch, had you upped your training at all in terms of volume, or I don't know, were you doing more to prepare you to kind of carry on in a fatigued state, if that makes sense?
No, I don't. I think I was training twice a day.
Yeah.
I'd do something in the morning, I'd do something in the night, but it was nothing ridiculous.
Yeah.
Nothing out of the ordinary, but I just did just a little bit more than usual, really.
Yeah. I particularly like on your website, right? Your Pritchard's100kchallenge.com. If you haven't looked it up, people go and have a look, because you've got a little video of the highlights of your year, really, haven't you? And I love the fact that every morning before the swim, you'd enter the pool in a bit of a different way. So you might bomb into it one morning, you might go down a slide one morning.
Oh, I was up at 4 o'clock every morning just to get down there prepared for the 6 o'clock start. And it's just one of those things that I did start there on day one, and then I thought, the day two I did something, and I just sort of clicked, I have to do something now every bloody day, So every day I had to try and think of 30 things to amuse myself.
But the other thing I did like was that you got local kids involved as well down in Cardiff.
Yeah, I asked for help off a lot of people via my social networking sites and stuff. I thought, if I'm going to be doing this for 30 days, it's always nice to have somebody to talk to. Even though I'm pretty good at switching off anyway, it's always nice to have a bit of support. And fair play, so many people came out to help me in the swim. I think I only cycled on my own for 2 days out of the 30 days, so there was always somebody there to help, which was amazing. And obviously there's quite a few people came and helped with the run as well. So yeah, I did really well, and I'd like to thank all them for coming along and helping me, because it did really help.
How did you feel on day 30 when you crossed the finish line?
Well, I tell you, on day 10, I bloody broke my rib, didn't I? Because I was in the car park after the swim, getting ready to go on the bike, and I had my right foot in the cleat, and a gust of wind came, and it sort of put me off balance, and I couldn't get my foot out of the cleat in time, and then bang, hit the deck. Didn't think anything of it. And then later on, I realised I'd broken my rib, and I woke up on day 11 in bits. And I just thought, and the doubt started setting in then, am I going to finish this and stuff? But I just kept trucking through it, really. A few painkillers here and there. So that was the worst part. But then day 30, waking up on day 30 was brilliant. I had a bit of a spring in my step. This is the day I finished. Oh, brilliant. Jumped in the pool. It was all... I must admit, it was quite emotional. I don't know if there's... If you look on the website, I think there's a video where I get interviewed by the side in the pool, and I was holding back the tears and stuff, because obviously what I'd been through mentally and physically. And it was a pretty emotional but a very happy day. And crossing that line with all those people coming to support me, and some of the people from the charities coming to see me at the end as well. It was amazing. It was really good.
That's awesome. How much money did you raise from it?
Well, so far I've raised about just over £25,000.
That's awesome.
I've got a long way to go, but I've got a few little things up my sleeve as well. A few more challenges.
Love it. So
Yeah.
after this, then you've done the Enduroman, and that's 3 back-to-back Ironman, isn't it?
Yeah, it was a continuous. Yeah, so after I finished the 30-30, I rested for a week, and then I started training again. Then eased myself into training, obviously. Ready for June, and it was the continuous triple Enduroman, which is a triple Ironman. And I knew going into it, I thought this is going to be a whopper of a challenge, and I wasn't far wrong. But I knew I had a great base from doing 30 half Ironman in 30 days. So yeah, we jumped in the pool. Jumped in the lake. Nice brown smudgy lake that it was. And
where was it? Where was it? Was it in?
It was in just off. I can't even remember where it bloody was. It's just off by Southampton.
Okay.
It's like a wildlife thing or whatever. I can't remember. I'm bloody hopeless. But the lake was nice. It was just on in the lake. Everyone was there, ready to jump in, and it was 7.5 mile swim, and the lake was only small. In some parts, when I went to swim, I even touched the bottom with my hands. So I can't remember how many laps it was, but it was 7.5 miles, and it was quite a few laps. But yeah, I got out then and got on a bike, ready for the 336 mile bike ride.
Wow. And how far had you ridden in one go before that?
I think the furthest I've ridden in one go was, I think, the double Bruto, I think.
Yeah, fine. Okay, so like 224 miles.
Yeah, 224. So then, yeah, this next one was 336. And again, it was in loops, and the loop was pretty good actually. It was quite a nice loop, and again going overnight. Again, I started tripping, and as it was the night time, I started tripping. I could see in the distance. I thought, "Wow, man, no way! It is the Colosseum." I knew in my head it wasn't the Colosseum, but my eyes were telling me different, and I could see. I was looking at it. Honestly, it was the perfect Colosseum, and I could see it. And I was like, "Oh yeah, no way, great!" And I thought, as soon as I get closer to it, it's not going to be a Colosseum; it's going to be a tree, and it was a tree. And it was, man, it's just the things your mind do, the tricks it plays on you, and the things that you see is just unbelievable. I can't go to sleep. And I just kept going. And then I fell asleep on my bike in the aero position. I fell asleep, and then I literally woke up heading towards a bush. And, keep in mind, the roads weren't closed either, so it could have been pretty disastrous if there was a car coming. But I woke up and I went, right, time to go to. I got a bit of a sleep, I think.
Yeah.
So I put my head down for literally half an hour. Got up, got going again.
Wow. And did you have someone with you doing it? Did you have any support, like a support?
No, you weren't not allowed to have any support on the Enduroman. You're allowed to have support on the Bruto, but you're not allowed to have any support on the Enduroman. If you are going to have support, I think you need to ask the organisers, and they need to ask permission of everyone who's doing who's entered the same competition as you.
Yeah.
And if everyone agrees with you, then you can have somebody. But that was more or less just out on your own. And then I finished the bike. That was a great feeling. I think I was leading. I was in first place for quite a good few hours, and I thought, bloody hell, Christ almighty, like what? I couldn't believe it. I thought, that's not going to last forever anyway. And I got off the bike, and then we started the running then, which was 79 miles of running, and it was 1.1 mile loops.
Oh man, okay.
But the good thing about that I passed my support vehicle every 1.1 miles. So if ever I needed anything, water, food, it was always there. And again, you're never really in the mood for eating, but I disciplined myself really well with my nutrition on the triple. I kept topping it.
Am I right in saying you had beetroot and potato casserole?
Yeah.
So did that fuel you for the whole event?
Well, I don't know if you heard of a brand called Huel, Huel.
Yep.
But they do a great powdered food product, which is good for vegans. Has everything the body needs in it. And they sent me a lot of stuff, and honestly, it's so good, and it's full of calories as well. And I was more or less living off Huel and potato and beetroot casserole. Because beetroot's full of what they call it?
Nitrate.
Nitrates, yeah. Basically, oxygenizes the blood. And about a week or 2 weeks before an event, I drink a litre of beetroot juice every day, just to oxygenate my blood and get ready for an event. So I was doing that leading up to it. Plus, I had a casserole. It's always nice if you're doing an endurance stuff. It's always nice to have proper food. And eat proper food, because you can't live off gels and sweet stuff. But they only work up to a certain amount. You just need a good meal.
Yeah.
Proper food, proper fuel. All those. Yeah. It is hard to get down because your body's just not in the mood. But you really do have to try and squeeze it down your neck, because if you don't, then you've got nothing to power yourself. So I was more or less living off. I was drinking that Huel like it was going out of fashion, and I was eating properly, struggling but eating properly, and I think that helped a lot. And the weather was really good as well. So running overnight, it got to the point where I just couldn't run anymore, and I just went and put myself into bed. And this time I had a good hour's sleep. I had 2 hours sleep, all in all. I had a good hour's sleep. I woke up, as you can imagine, I felt like shit. The last thing I wanted to do was run, but I had another full marathon to do, because I tried to go, basically I knew the next day was going to be really hot weather. The last thing I wanted to do was run in really super hot heat, because that would kill me. So I tried to do as many laps as I could overnight before I went to bed, and then I couldn't do any more. So I had an hour, woke up, felt like shit, got running again. After about the first or second lap, I started waking up a little bit, and I just felt really, really good. And then I was putting in some of my fastest laps. And then it wasn't long before they caught up with me again and started feeling like shit. And I had about 10 laps left, and one of the organisers said, you're in third place. He said, if you keep it up. I thought, what? Third place? Bloody hell, you're joking. He said, oh no, you're in third place, man. He said, keep it up. And by this time, my legs I literally could barely run. I was more or less shuffling.
Yeah.
Well, but that was in my head then, third place. So I've got to keep this up. And it just really pushed me. And those. And then I had 2 laps left. And with the tradition of the enduro man, when to your last lap, you do it in reverse, so everyone knows that you're finishing, and they all give you high fives, clap you, and all that kind of stuff. And I just thought that was a nice little touch. And then I got to the thing. They went, right, number whatever I was, it's your last lap. Go back the other way. And I started going back the other way, and everyone's clapping and giving you high fives. And it's like, oh man, the feeling was unbelievable. And then there was it. Then I crossed the line after 54 hours of constantly being on the go. What a feeling that was. And in third place.
That is amazing.
Yeah, it was. I said to people, and I said, right, I'm not doing anything like this ever again.
Until you saw.
Woke up the next day, and went, right, what's next?
And then you read about Decker Dave and his double decker, and you're thinking, yep.
Oh, well, that's one of my things on the list for next year. After watching, I've been following Decker Dave's double-decker in Switzerland. Wow, unbelievable. What a consistency every day. He doesn't look young either, does he?
He's in his 50s. It's amazing, isn't it? And he just gets faster.
He's a powerhouse. I just thought, bloody brilliant. So that was a good bit of inspiration. And Brutal Events, Claire from Brutal Events, she's organising a Decker next year. So I am signing up. But before that, I've set in another big challenge in March. I can't say anything yet, but I'm setting another big challenge in March, and I may have a big challenge because there's the Dublin Marathon at the end of October, and I may have a big challenge just before the marathon to get to the marathon. But I'm in the process of trying to organise it now.
Love it. Well, keep us posted on that.
Yeah, definitely.
And if anyone wants to sponsor you or kind of get in touch with you, what should they do? Where can they find out more information?
Yeah, I'm always looking for people that, as you know yourself, it's not cheap doing all these challenges. So I'm always looking for sponsors to help me achieve these goals. So if you go onto my website, www.pritchard100kchallenge.com, and get in touch with us via the website, it'd be brilliant.
All right, so listen, let's wrap up the show then. Hells are super duper interviews. Thank you very much. I think it's just left to us to basically say thank you for listening. And we're going to end with an appeal for patrons. If you guys fancy signing up to sponsor the show by being a patron, you can donate a little bit of money each month to help support the show. We've got something in the region of 4,000 listeners, Helen, these days, if you can believe that.
Brilliant.
Not all at once. So if you fancy supporting the show, go over onto oxygenaddict.com/podcast and have a look and click the patrons link there. And a shout out to our sponsors. So first shout out is for Team Oxygen Addict. That's currently closed to new members. So if you want to sign up to find out when we open up again, there's a little sign up page on the main page there. So just enter your email address and we'll email you to let you know what's going on there. We've closed that down for a little bit so we can concentrate on the members that are in there. And we also want to give a shout out to our sponsors, cheercharge.co.uk. Delicious flapjacks. Hells, can you get those out where you are? Do they have Cheer Charge flapjacks?
I haven't spotted any Cheer Charge flapjacks, Rob, at the moment. But the good news is you can use code COT10 for 10% off.
You sure can. And also our sponsors, Precision Hydration. If you want your sweat testing or you want some really good personalised multi-strength electrolytes, you can use the code CUPOFTRI15 to get 15% off your product with them. And with that, Hells, we're pretty much going to have to wrap it up and leave you to leg it back to your day job, aren't we?
Yeah, I better nip back, and I'm actually melting. I'm not joking.
You get out of here. Thanks very much. All right, everyone, thanks for listening. We shall speak to you all again next week. Cheers now.